Hello, I'm Stuart Price, and welcome to the latest MHR coronavirus podcast. With me is Neil Tonks, MHR Legislation Manager. Hi Neil, and thanks for taking time to update us. It was 2 weeks ago when we last recorded a podcast, and you gave an update on the job support scheme. So what's happened since then?
Well, as we all know, quite a lot has changed in the last 2 weeks, England going into lockdown, for instance. In terms of employment support, the coronavirus job retention scheme has been extended, initially just for November and then a few days later until the end of March. So we're now continuing with that scheme for the next 5 months. CJRS Mark III, as it is, because it's actually the third incarnation of it, is very similar to the previous versions, except that there's no longer a stipulation the furloughed employees have to have been paid and reported on an FPS by the 19th of March. It's now available to anyone paid and reported on an FPS by the 30th of October. So any organisations who have taken on new staff since coronavirus started can now furlough them, which wasn't the case before. As previously, employees can be flexibly furloughed if that's what the employer requires, so they can work some of the normal hours and be furloughed for the rest, or they can be fully furloughed, as will be the case when places are closed completely for the next month, for instance. They have to be paid in full for any normal hours worked, of course, and for the furloughed hours, employees continue to get 80% of their normal pay if this is fixed, or an average pay if it varies, as they always have ever since the scheme started. For people covered by the original scheme, this calculation is the same as it was under that scheme, using the same date ranges. So you're essentially just carrying on exactly as you were before with those. For those people employed more recently, then there is a change because the previous calculation relied on there being payments in the tax year prior to the current one. And obviously people who have been employed in the current year, those values will always be zero. So there's a different calculation. It's based on the last pay period prior to the 30th of October for people on fixed pay. So it's the pay as at that point. For those on variable pay, the calculation is an average in the current tax year up to the day before they were first furloughed. So from the 6th of April up to the day before the first time these people were furloughed. Now that date will have to be after the 30th of October because these people weren't eligible for the scheme that ended on the 30th of October. So it will have to be a furlough date in November or afterwards. As ever, employers can top up the pay if they wish out of their own pocket, but the government won't pay any more than the 80% calculated according to the rules. The good news is that the employer can reclaim the full 80% for November and December at least. The government say they will review this in January and may reduce the amount that they'll fund for future months based on economic conditions, but at least for November and December, the employer gets the full 80% back. The not so good news is that employers have to pay their NI pension contributions as normal. The government won't pay this. In effect, this is the same arrangement as in August. Now, the rules changed every month from July to October, and the November and December rules are the same as the August ones, effectively. The portal for making claims is the same one that's been used previously in the scheme, so there's nothing new there as far as we're aware. And the ability to make claims relating to November will be introduced from the 11th. You can't do it yet. You can't do it until the 11th because they need to update the portal because it had date validation on it that was based on the scheme ending on the 30th of October. So they need to change that. But that's kind of a summary of the new scheme. Apart from the new significant dates for new employees, it's pretty much as you were with the CJRS until the end of March.
Okay, so what does it actually mean for the job support scheme?
Well, the job support scheme announced in September and changed in October, but it's never actually been implemented and it's now postponed. until at least the end of March. Whether it'll be introduced next April when the extended CJRS ends is anyone's guess. It's pointless to speculate on that at a time when things have been known to change more than once in the course of a day. Trying to work out what's going to happen in 5 months' time is kind of pointless. The other thing has changed, though, and this seems to have had little publicity, is that the job retention bonus, which was due to be paid in February, has been scrapped. So that's not going to be paid now. Whether this will return is anyone's guess again. The guidance says it might, but who knows? Again, we will need to wait and see. So that's a quick summary of the week's developments. It's been a hectic week, but we're kind of back where we were, more or less, in terms of CJRS, with a few minor extensions.
Okay, as always, thank you for your assistance on that, Neil. And if you are an MHR customer, a hotfix is now available to support the new furlough extension, which we've just discussed. If you're hosted by MHR, we will be in contact shortly to update you with the date when we'll be doing the installs. But if you are an on-premise customer, please install the patch following the same process as you would normally do with any service pack or hotfix. We will continue to update the knowledge articles related to coronavirus. When we have further information or the rules change again, we will do more of these podcasts, so please do keep a lookout for these. And thank you for today and listening, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you and goodbye.